Afternoon, everyone. We're going to call this meeting to order. This is our subcommittee on homeowners associations. Subcommittee from our Senate rules. Not being in session, no action can be taken, but I did want to do some hearings on this bill. I dropped this bill last session, dropped it after crossover day. I wanted to get it done before, but we had some last minute changes and it got a little crowded in legislative council, and so we weren't able to get it done before, but which is fine because I want to make sure we get this bill right. This is a problem that's been going on for many years. And, the first bill that we do on it is going to kind of lay the foundation of many other bills to come. I don't think we're going to be able to fix these problems in one bill. But I do think the first bill can lay that foundation. And so with that, I do want to recognize Senator Donzella James. Many of y'all know Senator James has been working on this issue for several years now, and I want to give her credit for her work on this, and she is really the one that brought it to my attention, and she did that by way of I had some constituents show up to one of her meetings, and she directed them to me, and I realized real quick that how bad of a problem we've got. So, but I do also want to say that what I've learned through this process, there are some good actors and there are some bad actors, just like we see in everything that we deal with here. Just about every industry, you have good actors and you have bad actors. And so what we want to do is really there's three things that I feel like need to be addressed first. And Senate Bill 361, which all of y'all have in your folder, attempts to do that. And again, the bill that I laid out there is, I would call it more of an outline of what we're going to be working on in this bill. And we may introduce a whole new bill. We may just gut this one and put in something new. But anyway, so the first problem that I see with HOAs and laws or lack thereof around HOAs is accountability. Right now, if a homeowner has a grievance with his or her HOA, there is really no accountability for that HOA. And so that is the main part of this bill, is the accountability piece. We want to roll it under the Secretary of State's office. We felt like the Secretary of State's office made the most sense because they already do a lot of the same stuff that we're wanting to do here. They already do it with our nonprofits. They have a nonprofit division. And we're going to get into this a little bit more in detail for today's hearing. But that is the accountability piece. And with that, it brings me to the second thing, is really when there is a grievance, the only recourse right now for the homeowner is to go straight to court. And as we know, that can be very expensive, hiring lawyers. And so the other part of this is the Secretary of State's office will set up an administrative hearing process. That way the homeowner would not necessarily have to hire a lawyer. They could, but they would go to an administrative hearing, and the two parties can have it out. They state their cases, and through a panel of judges, they will or however we have it set up, through that process, then they can decide if they do want to pursue to court. Court would still be an option, but in this case, it would be more of a final option and not your only option. And so that's the second part of this. And the third part is getting into the foreclosures. Right now, a lien can be put on a property over $2,000. And we are seeing some HOAs are using their fines to get to that $2,000. And but I also understand that lien is a tool that HOAs need to sometimes have to use, because some people just don't pay their dues. So there's a balance we're going to have to find there. So this bill, again, this is just a start, but the bill, it takes that $2,000 to $4,000, and then it also states that no portion of fines can be applied towards that $4,000. Only dues could be applied to that. So I think that would help with that. And then the final piece, and this piece is going to be difficult to figure out, but I would love to figure out, and I did write this into the bill, is working with our banking department and working with banks. I would love to see a way for the banks to go ahead and let people escrow their dues. Again, it's going to be difficult figuring that piece out, but I think the idea is there. If people, that way, when you pay your mortgage, you pay your taxes, you pay your homeowners dues, and it's all done in one payment. Some states, I'm told, are kind of doing that. So this is we are in exploratory phase of all that. And so that's kind of what the bill does. That's the overall theme of the bill. And again, it's going to change. We've got a lot of details we've got to fill in the blanks with, which is why I have invited the Secretary of State's office here. We have Nuala Zaharis is going to come in, and she is going to discuss with us really kind of some of the requirements they do with our securities and charities division, and how that could apply to overseeing HOAs. So before I get you up, Noah, we're going to start with a prayer after my long talk there. And Chairman Williams, being the undertaker, I know he's always got a prayer for us. So if you would lead us in an opening prayer and get us started.
Be glad to, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you again for many blessings and opportunities you've bestowed upon us. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Please give everyone safe travels home today after this meeting. Dear Lord, again, give us patience, wisdom, and courage to do the things that we need to do. In thy name we pray, amen.
Amen. All right, and just for everyone to know, of course, members of the subcommittee, if you have questions along the way, you will be recognized, and any member of the Georgia State Senate that wants to attend these meetings will be recognized for questions as well. Of course, that applies to you, Senator James, and again, this bill is just kind of the groundwork and going to lay out the foundation. Senator James has introduced several bills through the years, and I think once we get essentially have a code section set up and kind of have this foundation, I think at that time it may be appropriate to come back and fill in some of the blanks with some of your ideas. And it may be appropriate that we fill in the blanks in this bill with some of your ideas, and we'll certainly work with you on that. So with that, we've got the does anybody have any other questions or comments before we get rolling? None? Did I bore y'all to death? Very riveting, yeah, I'm sure. All right, with that, we've got, do you say Nuala or Nola? Nuala. Isn't that what I said? That's what I said. Nuala, come on up. If you want, you can either sit or to the podium. I think it's easier on the TV with the podium. So if you'll just come on up to that podium, Nuala. And so Nuala is the Assistant Commissioner of Securities and the Director of the Georgia Secretary of State Security and Charities Division. And Nuala and I have had several meetings over the last several months and working on, ideas and how we can apply a lot of things we're already doing and how we can apply HOA oversight within that. So, Nuala, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. I'm also a little bit challenged sometimes, so I may need help with clicking or whatever.
Yeah,
you say,
we
but I'm
can-
okay. But I'll get.
There's a
I'll ask
clicker
you.
up there. Do you want me to? You want me to click it for you?
No, I can figure it
Okay.
out, hopefully.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Senator Rush. And thank you for including us, the Secretary of State's office, in this really important conversation. So I'm here, as the Senator said, to discuss what our agency or what our division can probably do to help in this matter. So we all know that living in a community that's managed by an HOA, has benefits. They're HOAs can take care of our property management. Their safety can be prioritized, and it can help elevate our property values. And typically, an HOA, sets community standards, on exterior appearance, on landscape and maintenance. They collect fees to maintain shared amenities and common space, and they establish rules and covenants to clarify what's expected of us, the homeowners. However, our division is seeing an increased amount of complaints regarding these HOAs. And what we're finding is that residents are expressing dissatisfaction with communication, concerns about financial management, inadequate maintenance of common areas, arbitrary fines, and the feeling that rules are applied unfairly or inconsistently. Those are our main complaints. If a resident feels that an HOA is carrying out unfair practices or maybe mismanaging the finances, that resident does have a right to complain, but to where, to whom? Basically, as you said, Senator, they have to go to court, which is costly. There are laws in Georgia, but those laws typically seem to be a little bit more HOA friendly, and disputes between the residents and the HOAs do end up in court, which is costly. So our division is recommending maybe expanding regulations to be a little bit more fair and balanced, so to give the homeowners relief, but at the same time protect the integrity of the HOAs. So, and as the Senator said, we handle securities and charities and cemeteries, and we handle the registrations and the enforcement of those acts. And my background is heavy on registration, so I believe very importantly the importance of registrations because it is a foundation. So we are recommending two things. The first thing is to get HOAs registered. And by that, I don't mean just going to the corporations division and filing as an entity, but also coming to the nonprofit division, which is the charities division. We handle the charities registrations of 501c3s. They would come to us so we could see who is out there and maybe help them as well as provide some relief to the residents. And I'm going to walk you through how the registration process works. Let's see if this works. Do I have this right? Maybe not. Oh, there it is. Okay, so those, as I said, we oversee the Securities Act, the Charities Act, and the Cemeteries Act. Securities means the space that your investment space. Anyone who manages your money has to, any investment product that you're, sold, that has to be, we have jurisdiction over that. So let me see if I can get it here. So we, as I said, we do registration and enforcement, and wow. Okay, so our first thing is to do an HOA registration. So registration is really crucial for legitimacy. It ensures compliance and consumer protection, And it also ensures accountability, and it also builds trust. And it's actually a way we have found in our space for the regulatory authority, us, and the to help the HOA or the entity build trust with its residents, or in our case, with the investors or the donors when we do charities and securities. And because HOAs are structured as nonprofits, we determined that the Charities Division is best equipped to handle registrations, because we handle over 12,000 registrations and renewals of charitable organizations that are, structured as 501c3 organizations. So the legislation that we're proposing regarding the registration of HOAs mirrors that, the charities registration requirements. And we feel that we would be in the best position to efficiently handle those duties, of course, with additional resources. So the registration would look as follows. There would be a registration fee, initial registration fee, which would be $100. We would have an application form that they would fill out with certain information that we would want, and they would have to file their financial statements in the interim. Then we also have in the charity space renewal requirements. Every year they would have to renew their registration. They'll fill out a very short renewal form, and then they will provide their financial statements again. So in enforcement, this moves on to the second recommendation. We are an administrative agency, and so we can hold administrative hearings, but those are limited to violations of the acts. For example, they're limited to and the Securities, Charities, and Cemeteries Acts are limited to registration violations and misappropriation of funds. Any type of dispute, and in this case, dispute between the homeowner and the HOA we would have to ask the AG to possibly go to court, help us go to court. So because this would be in front of a court. With those kind of limitations, we're recommending doing what we do with cemeteries, which is having a board. If I can get to this. Let me move on to the enforcement proceedings. Sorry. We're recommending doing a homeowners association board. We have this in cemeteries, and it seems to work well right now. In the cemetery space, we have definite jurisdiction over the registration and the money. But when there are disputes between the families and the cemeteries, we go to the board to get their input, because they are the professionals, they're the boots on the ground. So we felt that if we established some kind of board, it would be similar to what other boards there are, because Georgia has numerous professional licensing boards. And these are essential because they protect the public by ensuring that those professionals meet minimum competency and ethical standards. And they establish and enforce those standards. They help investigate consumer complaints, and they do have the power to discipline and make sanctions. So we believe that by establishing an HOA board with members that have subject matter expertise would be best equipped to help us with those disputes between the residents and the HOAs. And we recommend that the board be set up in this manner, that it would include representatives from residents, like resident representatives that are members of the HOA board, and of course having a consumer advocate that's neutral on that board. So I'm here happy to answer any questions about any of that process.
Nuala, you had mentioned about registering the HOAs, and you and I have talked offline on kind of a guess at how many HOAs we think are out there. Remind me, how many do y'all think there are out there, HOAs?
So at the time, I believe the attorneys told me, oh my goodness, do I want to say over 1,000 maybe?
I think it was over that.
No, that much.
Okay.
But, of course, in the charity space, we handle over 12,000 in the security space, the numbers are quadrupled. We have over 500,000 individuals who are registered. We have about 5,000 firms that we oversee, and that doesn't include all the securities offerings. We have, several thousand securities offerings. So, and we're just kind of used to the volume and to the process.
Okay, and then I want to get into the kind of the requirements that your nonprofits have to submit to you guys. You said obviously the name and address. Do they submit like their bylaws?
So in the charity space, our form is pretty complex. So we're looking at, what kind of solicitation activities they're doing. So we definitely get the name and address. We ask for the board members. We ask for the people who are, have the control over the organization. We ask for what type of fundraising that they're doing. We ask, who are you using to do your fundraising? We also require the Form 990 and their financial statements.
Okay.
And also from the IRS, the letter that says they have been granted 501c authority.
Okay. And the reason I bring that up, in the actual bill, we wrote out that you've got to do name and address, copy of the association's bylaws.
Which is fine.
And then, of course, if there's any changes to those bylaws,
Yes.
that would need to be submitted. The name of the names of all the officers, list of all lots included in the declaration, so that shows your
Right.
members, and the number of lot owners. So I just wanted to, from a administrative standpoint, would any of those requirements be an issue for Secretary of State's office?
Not, because in the cemetery space, we have to have the plat that shows the lots, so we're familiar with that. So we would, can handle that. We've seen documentation that way, so I would say, no, it would not.
Okay.
We're very used to that.
And the only thing that you mentioned that we don't have listed in the law or in this bill is the financial statements, but I think that would be a good thing to add. And speaking of financial statements, we had, again, you and I have talked in meetings on the process where cemetery owners escrow, or they put the money in, paid for a lot, or a
Right.
plot, I guess you call it. What do you call it, Sarah Williams? A lot, space, dirt. So they put that into an escrow. How could, to me, it would make sense for HOAs to maybe put some money into a escrow for the common space. Because one major issue I'm hearing is you've got some common spaces, and I'm thinking of one particular neighborhood has a dam that is failing,
Right.
and it would have made sense if there was money in an escrow to maintenance that dam through the years, but there wasn't. And now they're all the homeowners, I think, are getting assessed something to the tune of like $20,000, and to repair that dam. And of course, if that dam fails and they lose a lake, then you think about what's going to happen to the property value of every home in that neighborhood, and they're kind of in a catch-22 over there. And so anyway, so can you kind of walk me through the escrow process, or just a general idea of what that looks like in the cemeteries and how we might apply it to?
So in the cemetery space, yes, they're supposed to put the funds in a trust or an escrow, and those are supposed to be earmarked for that. They can't touch it. If they need to take a certain amount out, they will have to ask the Secretary of State's office or the division for approval for that. So, and then every year they have to provide an accountability and a reporting on those funds.
Okay.
So we would, if that's indeed where the HOA, legislation wants to go, we could pattern it,
Similar to
the Cemeteries
Okay.
Act. Yeah.
Because to me, I just think that makes sense. If
I can make it a little plainer for you.
hold on,
All right.
Yeah.
there you go.
4. say if you sell a cemetery space for $1,000, right now you put 15% of that sale price into the perpetual care fund. That perpetual care fund can never be touched. The corpus of that builds interest up, and hopefully by the time the cemetery is sold out, that perpetual care fund will be big enough that it will maintain that cemetery.
Makes sense.
So you're only putting a percentage of the sale price of each individual space. So that's how the cemeteries are, which you could build something in very easily as to what Nuala is saying. And she and I have worked together for years on this kind of stuff. So she's
Okay.
definitely a good place to be and a good person to oversee this.
All right, well, I may get with you offline on,
Okay.
since you seem to understand that, maybe we can work on with Newland and figure
Okay.
out, because I think that's going to be an important part of protecting homeowners.
But what you're
Years from
mentioning,
now.
I had the same situation to happen down in Wilkinson County in Ivy, Georgia, where a subdivision down there and the dam broke. And they finally wound up having to sell a lot and the lake to a private developer to try to repair the dam. But then he couldn't get it to the height that it was because it would be a whole different classification.
We got a damn guy over here.
Damn expert said it's a damn shame, said
Yeah.
quite honestly,
Well, I'm damn glad you're here.
good to be with you, said he probably kept it under the Category 2 status, so it didn't meet that requirement. They had to shrink the size of it, basically. As you've heard me discuss on a bill we had on safe dams, and we passed through the Senate,
Damn bill.
it was a good dam bill, said but it addressed this problem, and this is one of the things that I see a lot of homeowner associations that don't realize the liability that they have in having a Category 1 dam, which is a high hazard dam in Georgia, and that's where, this surprise, cost to a homeowner can be fatal. I mean, there's a lot of them they either end up breaching the dam, which is expensive to do, or they bite the bullet, and a lot of people have to move out of the neighborhood because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Senator James, did you have a? Sure. 11. Got it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this opportunity to participate today. And Madam Director, I'm trying to figure out the cost for application and being a part of the HOA.
You mean the cost for the
The $100 a year?
a year?
That's per HOA or per person?
No, per HOA.
Okay. Well, how are you going to explain that you might have some HOAs with 40 people only in there, and then some with over 400? They still only pay for
Yeah, in our space, we have set, registration fees. For example, in the charity space, the application fee is $35, and the renewal is $20, which, in my personal opinion, that's a bit low, but, I didn't write the law. So, excuse me, but in the security space, the registration fee for all of our securities filers is $250, and the renewal is $100. So we thought to be in alignment with those, that we would keep it in that same area, and yeah.
I was a little concerned because I know that some of the homeowners associations may have homes at 100 and 200,000, and the same other ones might
Right.
have $1 million homes in it,
Right.
and all. Because the problem with when they get fines,
Yes.
and when they get fines, it's $2,000 no matter what your property is worth. And they can sell your house on the courthouse steps. So I think that's what Mr. Chairman is trying to make sure that we address.
Yes. And that would be not under our act. I believe that's under the property, like our act, where we're proposing under the Charities Act is to oversee the registration requirements and also to make sure that they're complying with the other acts that deal with the foreclosures and the violations, et cetera, et cetera. I know that the costs are high, but I will tell you that in the Charities and Securities and Cemeteries Act, the violations go up to $500,000 for violating.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, because you're messing with investors' money and donors' money in a way, right? Yeah, it's here those are there to protect the investors and the donors in those acts.
I know. I'm in it because of the
Right.
predatory HOAs.
Right.
Because as you stated
Right.
earlier, it's a lot of good HOAs.
There are a lot of
and
good
it's a lot
HOAs,
of
yeah.
pros to it
Yes,
rather than
yes,
cons.
yes.
And so we just wanted to protect
Yes.
homeowners.
So I found that registration is a great way to weed the bad actors out, as the senator said. In my experience with registrations, good actors want to register. They want to comply. They want to work with, whatever resources they have so they could be, good stewards to their, in our cases, donors and investors. The bad actors, when we reach out to them and say, hey, why aren't you registered? And we know that you're conducting this activity, they fight us every step of the way, try to find a way out of it. Or if we, do reach out to them, they ignore us. They don't want, bad actors want to go undercover. So I think that registration is a good way to bring everybody, out in the open and work with that. And it's interesting because when the people who are registered in our securities and charity space, they want a good reputation. So they're going to work with whoever needs to make sure that the industry reputation is good and will do what they can to help us weed out the bad actors. Yeah.
Can you also consider putting, it's a lot of management companies that have come from other countries or other states, never laid feet in the state of Georgia at all. And is it some way that I understand that I know in the metropolitan area, it's about 36 HOAs, and that includes the condominium COAs and
Right.
PP that's under one company, management company. So they hire these management companies. That's who putting the fines on it.
And we could look into how to do that because I can tell you with the charity space, a lot of the charitable organizations that call you, it's not the people that are working for the charities. They actually hire outside companies. They're called pay solicitors who are like the management company, so to speak. And, they can be anywhere as long as they're registered with us, and they make those calls to you. However, they have to provide us with a financial reporting as well as during this campaign, how much did you raise for this charity? How much did you keep and how much did you give that charity? Now, we could look into doing something like that, now or in the future, but that would be something that we could explore.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And Senator James, I'll comment too to your original question on that $100 fee. Number one, that's just their suggestion. We can write into law whatever we want, but I will say this, that it doesn't matter if from their point of view and from their amount of work that they're going to have to do, it's going to be the same whether that's $1 million home or whether that's a $150,000 home, whether there's 10,000 homes or 5 homes. Their work is the same when it comes to making sure all this paperwork is in line. And I mean, honestly, $100 to me sounds more than reasonable. If a local HOA can't afford $100, then there's probably going to be a lot of other issues when you dig into their financial statements. So, but again, that's their suggestion. We can work through the process and come up with whatever we decide we think is fair.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Senator Harbison.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to go back to this flow chart right here regarding the recommendation 2. That homeowners association board would be appointed by the Secretary of State's office?
I don't know, we would explore who would do that, whether it would be the Secretary of State's office, maybe the legislature, maybe the governor. I don't know how I would have to look
Right.
into how the professional licensing board, but that would help us tremendously, just so you'll know that we do a lot, and especially we look into fraud, and this would help us a lot. Yeah.
And that's a good membership outline you got there. The
Yes.
board member, representative, blah, blah, blah. But I'm getting down to the last statement you got down, the managing these kind of disputes falls outside the scope of the Secretary of State's office. So automatically then it would have to default back to the courts, is that it?
No, so what happens, for example, in the Cemeteries Act with the Cemeteries Board, like under the Cemeteries Act itself, we are responsible for any registration violation, any financial misappropriation, et cetera. But there are care and maintenance issues, correct? And so what we do is we work with the board to facilitate bringing those, to the board to have a hearing. Like they would be basically the hearing officers, not.
I understand.
Yes, and we would then, at the recommendation of the board, we could issue an order at that point.
Okay. And that would
Yes.
be binding?
That would be binding under the administrative, the Administrative Act. And if they violate that act, for example, we issue an order, and we've had people who have, violated our
Okay.
orders.
And
We
because
have to go to
apparently-
the AG and ask them to go to court, to
Yeah.
take it to court.
I think that's thank you very much, appreciate
Thank
it.
you, yeah.
That's an important move.
Thank you. Any other questions? And I guess when it comes to who's making those appointments, again, that would be the decision of however we want to write it. So maybe we wait till after the elections and then decide who. Maybe the dean of the Senate and the rules chairman should appoint them. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any members of the committee or body of the Senate have a? Senator Rhett, welcome. Glad to have you. Do you have any questions?
Not late, is it?
Yeah. He's not on military time anymore. He's on Air Force time. They're always late. Always late. Well, welcome to the party. We missed you, but we got started without you. Do you have any questions for Secretary of State's office? Does anybody? Okay. Senator Williams?
You're going to have more staff to see after this, so we'll have to make sure during
Yes.
appropriations that your office receives more.
Yeah, we're going to need that, especially in light of the, unfortunately, all the investment fraud and donor fraud cases that we have, especially with senior exploitation. Just as an aside, no, it's not part of this committee, but we have over 1,000 complaints regarding senior investment fraud. So, and we have a very small staff, but we're a good team.
Neighborhood. Senator Dixon.
Do you have any idea on the number of additional staff you would need? Or have y'all looked into
Wow.
that yet?
Our whole agency, no.
Yeah.
Well, let me
I-
add to that. How many do y'all have in the cremate
Good question.
in the
So-
cemetery division?
No, it's one division, like a group of maybe 15 people that do cemeteries, charities, and securities.
Okay, so
Yes.
15 do.
Right, and we are
Okay.
completely taxed out, yes, but we work hard.
So maybe you might need an additional 5-ish, 5 to 10-ish.
Yes, well, to give you the wish list, the state of Alabama, just the securities division has 50 people that work on it, and they work on, aggressive. They have investigators,
Well, I'll go
auditors.
on and tell you, we ain't
financial
gonna be able to get you 50.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm just asking.
So, set expectations here. So potentially 5 to 10 additional. That's what I'm gonna make a note. All right, Senator James, did you have another question, Senator? All right, Senator James, you're recognized.
I had a bill that's already died in the judiciary though, but it was a Osbusman office. And in that office, it was gonna be under community affairs. And it was just gonna add 5 people to answer any kind of homeowner
Yes.
property. So that was it, but we had something, I'm wondering about this, okay, so a homeowner who has the complaint is already paying dues that pays for the lawyer there, and they have to pay now for their own personal lawyer. So I know what you're talking about is gonna help that.
Right.
But how do you do it when, is it every year when they renew, they have to add more people? Because often they have only filled, say, 100 of the 300 houses. And so during the year, they're adding. So when they're renewing, is there gonna be something on there to make sure that they're adding?
Yeah, that's
those
a good question, actually. Yes, I get your question. Yes. So what, in our space right now, whenever there's a material change to the business structure or to what they're doing, they have to notify us immediately through an amendment filing, right? So we can add that to the HOA. And of course, on the renewal, they have to tell us if, they have to also retell us if there have been any significant changes and material changes. And we could add, we could work on what kind of questions to ask, which may be, more property owners, like how many property owners do you have? And we could work on that, yeah.
My last thing
Yes,
is when you sign up for your house, when you're closing for the property, many people don't even know that they have to join a HOA. That's when they have to join it, where they're in closing.
So
and they're offered things like bike trail, basketball court, swimming pools, and all of this. And some of the homeowners who have had big problems, they said they did I guess, construction people who they're working for and with did not even fulfill those promises.
Right.
So do they get a fine too?
So what we can do in terms of like in the registration space, because that's very similar to securities, where when they offer a product, to an investor, they have to make certain disclosures and provide certain documentation. So we could make it where, the homeowner receives, notification at the closing or even before the closing, that there's like there's an HOA and this is what's expected of you. Not later, they get it by surprise, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Again, I think going back to that idea of escrowing the common spaces would ensure that those types of things did get put in place.
Sounds good.
And not only that, but make sure that the HOA could afford to maintain them after the developer leaves his current position. All right, so for sake of time, because we're trying to get out of here at 11, and here's what we're going to do, something a little bit different. So we got public comments coming up. We've had multiple hearings, did some last year. Of course, Senator James has done some. We've heard a lot of the issues. Again, we're trying to address. We're not addressing all of them. Here's what I'd like to do, because I saw 3 citizens raise their hand on questions. Here's what I'm going to allow. I'm going to allow you to come up here and ask your question, either to the Secretary of State's office or to the committee, if you'd like to do that. If you want to come up and talk about a problem that you've had that we haven't heard before, more than welcome to do that as well. Just try to keep it brief, because I know we might have multiple folks that want to speak. So real quick, all right, I'm just going to go down the list. Well, I know. Let me get to the questions first. Ma'am, you were the first to raise your hand. Did you sign up to speak as well?
I spoke to Senator Harbison.
Okay, come up to this microphone right here. We're going to do this in an orderly manner. Did you had a question though, correct? You raised your hand earlier for a
I got a whole bunch of
question.
things, but I'm gonna take whatever you give me.
Okay, all right, you got just a couple minutes, so,
Okay, my first question is, when we speak of HOAs, who are we actually referring to? The management company or the board?
No, so the HOA
I mean,
is,
I'm just-
a management company is exactly that. They manage the HOA. The HOA is who is going to have to register, is going to have to register with the Secretary of State.
Yes.
So their local board will register, and there may be some cases where their structure is a little bit differently, and that's, you know, if that's the case, then they would be registering. The management company would register, but I don't know exactly how they're. But in order for a entity to collect money and assess dues and assess fines and all that, in order to do that, they're going to have to meet all these requirements of registering with the Secretary of State's office. And until they do that, and we're going to make that clear in this bill, it's not in the original version, but until they do that, nothing they're going to do is going to hold up in court.
Correct, but the issue to me is with the management companies. They're the for-profit ones that's assessing all these fines to the owners through the board. The boards are weak, so they don't really have any backbone when it comes to these management companies. They are the ones that are
Right.
killing us. Not
Well, again, it's right now, in my opinion, there is no accountability. And so
For
until
either-
we establish that accountability, then that's never going to get fixed.
Okay. Well, I think that the accountability should be on the profit part. That's the ones that's killing the homeowners, not the boards themselves. I think it's just it's a tragedy that we even got to be here for this.
Okay. All right, well, let me, now we got a whole bunch of new questions. What was your name? I'm sorry.
Rosalind Greger. I'm a 100% disabled veteran that is fighting right now.
Well, thank you for your
against
service.
these predatory HOAs that we need to talk about, not the boards. The boards are the nonprofit. We need to talk about the profit people.
Well, in a lot of cases, though, the boards are the ones hiring the management company, so it's,
Exactly.
but again, just like we discussed earlier, there's good management companies and there's bad management companies. You may have had zero contact with the good ones, but there are good and there are bad, so, understood. All right, so Patricia Wise. You're recognized. Come on, you have to come to the microphone.
I'll be very quick.
Okay, thank
I
you.
want to thank you all for making this effort. Gonzalo, we love you. I'm here with Linda Pritchett. She couldn't be here, District 7. And yes, it's been it's so needed, so needed. So everything that you guys are doing, great, thank you. We do have very bad boards, and we do have some good boards. And just a note about the $4,000, just only the dues to go in liens. There's a lot of HOAs that will lock homeowners out of being able to pay their dues because they have violations. Either they're pending in court or pending or being, heard through, a mediation or arbitration. So just something to think about.
No, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
they'll lock us up.
So
Yeah,
thank
they'll
you
lock
for
you
that,
out.
please. No, that's a great point. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Padmas something, Manumi. We're just gonna call you Patty.
Okay. Good morning, thank you.
Good morning.
The main reason I came here is because of my HOA. They're not legally elected by homeowners. We don't have any.
Yeah.
I'm
There
sorry.
we go.
The main issue we have with the HOA board members. They're not legally elected by homeowners, and they don't follow any of the bylaws. And since 2022 is only one homeowner who is not even elected by homeowners is running the whole community.
Okay.
And they're increasing the fees, and they're changing the contracts, the law vendors, and also they elected the recently 2024 a homeowner out of the elections. And when we question for the financial questions, they don't want to show any documents. They'll say go online.
I've heard that issue. Again, the accountability piece, and when they have to file all this stuff with the Secretary of State, then it's public record. And then hopefully that's gonna address a lot of your concerns.
So if they're going to go online and register saying so-and-so person is a president of HOA, how are you going to verify if he has been elected by the homeowners?
It's in the bylaws. The elections will
No,
be
it
in the
is
bylaws.
in the bylaws, but it's not been followed.
Again, there's no accountability right now. That's the crux of this bill, is the accountability piece. So if you don't have in your bylaws, if you don't have how your elections are, then you're not going to officially have a board, and so you're not going to have a HOA. So again, it's accountability. That's the whole purpose of putting it somewhere where there's an accountability. So understand your concerns, and that's what some of the things that this is going to attempt to address. Again, this isn't going to be a magic bullet that solves all the problems, but it's going to be a start, and it's going to be a good start, and we'll build off of it. So, all right. Hey, for everybody raising their hand, I've got a list I'm going to go down of folks that did sign up, and then if you didn't, I'll call on you from there. For sake of time here, I got Roz Grigger.
You don't want me again.
Oh, that's you again. I'm sorry. Yeah, you good. Caroline Simmons.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'd like to correct one thing.
Okay.
A homeowners association is made up of the owners. The board regulates that homeowners association. The owners themselves have to stand up to those boards and those management companies. I have taken every position on my board. I have been the management company twice in my homeowners association. Our board that we currently have at Waldrop Park Condominium Association would not be covered by this bill because we're a condo association. Right. There's homeowners associations, there's property owners associations, and there are condos associations, and we all have the same issues. We have boards that are unruly. My current board has assessed 228 units, $1,610 to replace water meters that we just replaced, simply because they don't like the company that was managing everything. By law and by our declaration, they have to anything over $200 has to have a vote. Our board did not vote. So we filed a lawsuit, and we've spent so far $17,000 to try and fight our board. We got a TRO to keep them from doing anything else. They have gone and they have told our community that I am the reason they have not received water bills. No, I'm the reason why you have not been billed for these meters for those people who did not pay. This started in September of last year. In April and May of this year, over 50 units in my community did not have water because the board decided that because they did not pay, they were going to turn off their water. And they did just that in violation of the law. So without having some sort of regulatory agency of some sort, we've got to go to court. There are people in my community who are on Social Security, and that's all they receive. They can't pay to go to court. They can't afford to pay the $1,610 for something that we just finished paying for. So I implore you that when you guys look at all of this, that you look at all of the different types of associations there are for home ownership. Our board also took people off of the board because they said they were behind in dues but could not prove it. But the board members we currently have are in violation of our bylaws. Those boards don't care. They don't care. They want the power and they want to be in control. Right now, they're taking up bushes around our buildings. We don't have money to do anything, but yet you have money to take up bushes. You won't provide us with the financials for us to be able to see where is our money going. I've asked for a copy of our insurance policy. The declaration clearly states that I'm entitled to it, but our board is constantly telling us what we're not entitled to. We're not entitled to know where our money goes. We're not entitled to know what they're paying for. Without these regulatory agencies, without you guys actually looking at things and saying, hey, this isn't right, it's going to continue and it's going to get worse.
You're right. All types of ownership need to be included, and COAs and POAs will be included. in the final version of this. So, and again, going back to the financials, that'll be public record once they file it with the Secretary of State, and they will have to do that.
But it being public record doesn't solve the issue of what are they doing with the money. We can look all day long, where do we go in order to fight it? That's the main thing. Like you said, the accountability is what's missing.
Right.
And sooner rather than later would be nice.
You got it. Thank you. All right, Nikki Buggs. You've been with us before.
I have.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And Nuala, if you want to sit, you're more than welcome. I'd like to keep you handy for your expertise, just in case we have a question. Anywhere over there would be fine. Just have a seat at the table. All right, Nikki, go ahead.
All right. I live at the Landmark Condominium, as you know, and the Landmark Condominium is a historical building. I'm going to go ahead and get to the crux of it, so you and it bears repeating.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we've spoken before, but it bears repeating. The building, there was a fire that started in an Airbnb office that was rented on the first floor that now the homeowners are liable for. We are now in a federal lawsuit because of fraud. The people on the board are actually, the president owns over 40 units, she and her sister. And then they manage multiple other units. The building now operates as a hotel. Mm-hmm. I've been after this event for now 4 years, over 4 years. August 1st is my 4th year. Judy Clements died fighting this battle. We just buried a homeowner's husband 2 weeks ago. And one of the things he asked is, when is it going to be over? One of his last words.
Yeah.
And we've been begging for help from every agency, starting from the government all the way to the police, and nothing. Out of 200 units, there are a handful of us left. And they're working diligently to get us out of the building. They've confiscated all of the common areas, so we have no common areas. The highest HOA is $1,300 a month for gas, water, a double billing of water, and electricity. That's all we get. If we speak to the Airbnb manager, who is an unlicensed property manager, then we get fines. I'll get a fine for not liking the color of your tie because I've been unruly.
What's wrong with my tie?
Your tie is lovely, but I'm just saying that's how it's been handled. We have liens. The $4,000 lien is not enough. I mean, $4,000 cap is not enough. And one of the things that I've always said is it's always appears that the laws are written for the bad people. And then for the good people, we abide by the law. We do what we're supposed to do. We help one another. And they've demolished our entire community. We are now a hotel. We have prostitutes. When I got off of the elevator Saturday, I give back on Saturdays for underprivileged kids who can't afford to take ballet classes. So I go do that.
That's cool.
And when I get off of the elevator, I have 2 girls in front of my apartment twerking. We have loads of footage, and you guys have all of the evidence from that, and this is from years of build-up. Retaliation, the fines, again, the fines are just exorbitant to the point where it does hit that $2,000 cap. I have spoken multiple times in front of the city council, you guys, everywhere that I could possibly just ring the bell just to get assistance. And I received a xenophobic packet, 4 of us from speaking in front of city council from this board, with dead bodies, lynched bodies, dead woman. That's what we received. Almost a month and a half later, then we received a defamation lawsuit for speaking out. Nothing bad, nothing that we've said that was against them. This is all the truth. So we're sitting with that right now. Okay. So with this board, we have a fraud lawsuit, then we're being sued by another contractor. And what's wonderful for HOAs is that I can spend your money because we're going to get the money from the homeowners because they have to pay it. So if I take you to court, you're paying the attorney to beat you up. Then you got to buy another attorney to fight them. Whenever they want to change something, fix something, or allege that they're going to handle anything, then that's the money that is spending out of our pockets. We now have an insurance. Our insurance has gone up allegedly almost $800,000. So now they've assessed all of the homeowners. We've had 4 assessments, I think, since the fall of last year. Four. And now they're holding us responsible for taking care of the insurance that's gone up because of the fire that started in their private space. The LLCs, they have multiple LLCs. The cat has an LLC, the kids have an LLC, the blade of grass has an LLC, the doorknob has an LLC. They have multiple LLCs, and it's usually one group. And no one's monitoring that. But then if I need to get my passport, I have to make sure everything lines up, my birth certificate, where I was born, my driver's license, my address, all of that has to line up. But they have 62,000 LLCs under just various different companies, different names, but it's all the same group.
Well, I know we have multiple members of the legislature that have places at Landmark and have certainly
Yes. Yes.
heard from them as well. So,
Yeah.
look, I'll take full responsibility for us not getting anything done last year. That was my fault, but I wanted to make sure we got this right. Like you stated, the laws are bad right now, and in many cases they're lacking. And so I did not want to do another bad law. I wanted to make sure we got it right, and we're going to make sure we get it right, and we're going to make sure we get it done this coming session. So that you have my commitment that I plan on moving forward with either this bill or a new bill in a similar form.
Okay,
And
I would like to finish up with just a thing. If what they're doing with the building now, we have very few homeowners left. Those people have had to move in with their family members, had to find elsewhere to live because of what's happening now. We need an emergency intervention, which is something we've been begging for the past 4 years. What they're doing, this board, is making the building unbearable, unaffordable, unsellable. So then eventually, I'll just have to sell to you because no one else wants to purchase it. The HOAs are so exorbitant, no one wants to live there. And that's what we get anything out of. If you guys come up with a committee, if you will, and you want to include homeowners so you can get honest feedback, at least just get our story so we can just say, this is what's happening. I'll be glad to be a part of that.
Okay.
And the last thing that I always say when I leave city council, if anything happens to me, I become sick, I become incapacitated, I die, please investigate that because this is the type of group that we're dealing with.
Okay.
I want you to be very clear about that.
I hear you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. All right, Connie Robbins.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Senator and committee members. I just want to say that I'm Connie Robinson. I am actually an HOA president, and I am also a grassroots organizer of HOA communities across the city of South Fulton and other states. We have been actively involved in trying to work together to share best practices, learn from one another, share vendor information, and help each other grow to better serve our communities. I applaud your efforts in what all is trying to be done as it relates to HOA, but I think a lot of it too revolves around education and training. Our board members are volunteers, regardless of their professionalism, their experience, their education. They're sometimes dealing with unique situations in which we, as an organization, try to learn from each other in terms of experiences that we have had dealing with our communities. The other thing I think that is a big part is the registration, which I appreciate the Secretary of State willing to look into this and take this on, because we do need to know how many HOAs are out there, are unregistered, and are not complying in the best interest of their communities. But what I want to add to that is, what if they don't register? What is the enforcement process if we have HOAs that are acting, that are not registering? We need to definitely look into that. And another thing is the investors that are within our HOA communities. They don't show up at meetings. They don't live in our community. We can't make quorum a lot of times when it comes to making decisions because we don't have the homeowners representing the community showing up and speaking up. That's what's in the best interest of them. And so maybe caps as it relates to how many investors can actually purchase in a homeowner community. And one of the last things that I would like to add is that, again, I applaud your efforts and what all is being done here. And our collaboration group, we do want to help in this regard. If there's anything we can do to add input or volunteer, we are more than willing to help. Thank you for this time.
Thank you, Councilwoman. All right, Nadia Threadgood? I can't read.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Nadja Threadgill,
Nadja, apologize.
and I am a retired senior who lives in a beautiful community in Smyrna, Georgia. I'm here to support SB 361, and here's why. What began as a simple request to the property manager of my subdivision about filing an insurance claim under the HOA's master policy for storm-related damage to my townhome has escalated into a costly legal dispute. I own one of 11 townhomes in a 94 home subdivision, and I knew from my past experience as an HOA president and from the documents provided by the insurance company that the master policy is primary while my personal condo policy is secondary. Despite this, the property manager, without having any details about the damage to my home, incorrectly insisted that the HOA had no responsibility and refused to discuss anything further, and threatened to escalate the matter to the HOA's attorney. When I contacted the insurance company directly, I received updated documentation confirming coverage responsibilities, which I shared with 9 fellow townhome owners to ensure that they were aware of their obligations. Shortly after, the HOA board issued a community-wide email misrepresenting my communication, accusing me of spreading misinformation, and even implying I attempted to jeopardize the subdivision's insurance coverage. I then received a cease and desist letter from the HOA's attorney with demands that I retract my email, publicly apologize, stop communicating with homeowners about insurance matters, and agree to pay their legal fees. The situation caused me significant distress and ultimately forced me to hire an attorney to defend myself against these baseless accusations. What should have been resolved with a simple phone call turned into months of unnecessary conflict, legal expense, and intimidation. This is a clear example of how some HOA boards weaponize legal threats against homeowners who raise valid concerns, leaving us with little recourse but costly legal representation. This experience underscores why administrative hearing procedures are urgently in need, and homeowners should not face legal intimidation for asking reasonable questions or clarifying their rights. I strongly urge you to pass SB 361 to protect homeowners across Georgia, and I stand ready to assist in any way I can.
Thank you, Nadja. Mary Kelly. And members, if we're not taking any action, so if anybody needs to go at any point, just don't let the door hit you on the way out. Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning, Chairman Brass, and to the committee. I'm Mary Kelly. I live in the Heritage Club in Kennesaw, Georgia. I've lived there since 2004. There are 400 homes. We have a pool. We have a tennis court. We have a fishing pond. We have a lake. We have all of that. But we also have many of the same problems and issues that I'm hearing here today. I want to speak specifically to Georgia Code 14-3-1602. It gives a homeowner in good standing the right to inspect records. That was passed by the Georgia legislator. It's, again, Georgia Code 14-3-1602. Almost 2 years ago, I followed the procedure to the letter. To this day, I am still following the procedure to the letter, and to this day, I have no information. I have not been allowed to look at the records. I have not been able to determine why $162,000 was spent refurbishing our tennis court, which 1% of the 400 homeowners even use. That was a decision made by the board. That was one of the reasons I wanted to inspect the records. Another one was that, and I moved there in 2004, we had never been apprised of any shortage of funds or deficits in our budget. Last year, we were told that all of a sudden there was this deficit of budget. Again, I pressed to see the records to substantiate that claim. To date, I have still not seen that information. Based on what I think I understand about the Homeowners Association Board and its oversight, I wholeheartedly endorse and will make myself available to work with anybody who is working to put that in place. Oversight is clearly needed. I don't care what level your property is. Our homes are between $400,000 and $500,000. I hear others who said that there's less, but the problems and the issues are the same. And we're definitely going to require more than relying on the homeowners and the associations to do the right thing, because the right thing is not being done. So I beseech you also, in the future, when you pass these bills and put these codes in place, that you put some teeth into them, which I believe the Homeowners Association Board would do. And just for the record, for me to get an attorney to enforce Georgia Code 14-3-1602, it would cost me, the homeowner, between $5,000 and $10,000. And guess whose money the board is using to fight me? My money. So I hope you will check into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mary. All right, next up, Michael Shepard. Michael, you've been with us before as well.
I have.
Good to see you again.
Good to hear. I do have an update. Michael Shepard of Peyton Place Condominium. I've had my story covered in the media, and I've done some recent interviews with the situation that I faced. To make it a long story really short, bought a property, had a board refusing to do elections, refusing to give any documents, including closing documents, intentionally sabotaging sales. The list is very long. Like I said, it cost me personally over $30,000, but the legal bill was actually closer to $40,000. I had two other owners who chipped in $4,000, but the brunt came down to me. And I just want to reiterate what the other homeowners stated in this session today and prior. It's going to come down to enforcement. North Carolina, Florida has an ombudsman's office. Utah, I believe, just passed it. And the homeowners are having the exact same issue. The only difference is they have a board to hear out the complaints. And every issue that I heard today, in my opinion, just about 99% of them could be prevented or at least rectified early in the dispute stage. Because at the end of the day, if it goes to a judicial situation, the lady just spoke and said it's going to cost me $5,000 to $10,000, and I could only think it's actually starting there. It could end at $30,000 or $40,000 if you even make it that far.
Right.
And so I just urge all of you that when you consider legislation, that you heavily consider enforcement. And I'll end it by saying that the board that I just battled lost, not only because they were in the wrong on every point, but they refused to even comply with Fulton County Superior Court. So someone mentioned what happens when the board refused to sign up. There needs to be punishment and it potentially even removal of these corrupt actors who refuse to comply, not only with the board, the homeowners, but even the government. They ignored every single order that Judge Paige Reese Whitaker in Fulton County she ordered them to, respond to the complaint, respond to these court hearings. Complete refusal, and that cost me $30,000. I can't imagine if they actually put up a fight, it would probably ended at $100,000. But realistically, I probably wouldn't have made it there because I did most of this on my own. So once again, I implore you to think of that enforcement piece. Thank you.
What do you think should happen if someone doesn't comply with the judge's orders?
The same thing that would probably happen in the insurance commission or any other commission that you're licensed in the state of Georgia. You don't comply, that license to be a professional is pulled or suspended. The other thing I wanted to add on to Ms. Patricia Wise, she ended up leaving, but she mentioned that a lot of the HOA board will shut off your ability to pay. I was paying my HOA. I was one of the few people actually doing it. And once they realized I called a special meeting, they sent back my check. And then they told my lawyer, oh, he's in arrears. And so I think if by us having this HOA commission board, it holds those people accountable. You could ask them, well, what happened? A check was sent. And, it holds people accountable having that oversight. I know a lot of people complain about big government, but this is completely a bipartisan issue. It doesn't matter if you're in $1 million condo
Agreed.
or a $10,000 condo. It affects everyone across all political spectrums, all classes, all races.
Agreed.
And I appreciate you guys for really pushing this home. And I mentioned this at the last time I was here, but I really think Georgia could be a first in the nation at actually holding these bad actors accountable. And I hope that we are.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Shirley Allen. She's yielding her time because she's having the same issues that she's heard. So thank you for.
The only thing I want to say.
If you're gonna say, then if you do want to talk, come to the microphone.
The only thing that's,
You tried.
yeah, some of the same issues. The only thing is that I would like to see compliance, and if these are crooks, fraudsters, the penalty should be jail. I mean, they're stealing people's money and they're not accounting, so they're crooks. It's organized crime as far as I can see, but.
Well, criminal laws are already in place, and so
Okay.
That's some of the things I've heard. I mean, is criminal, and they should be prosecuted. But that's
it. That's all I have to say.
But we've got to get all this stuff on file. Like we've got to know what are the bylaws, what laws are they breaking, and right now without that accountability, it's difficult to do. So that's kind of the purpose of why we're here.
Okay.
So thank you. All right, I believe this is Yvette Sledge, or does that say Yvette? How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Did I get it right?
You got it correct.
All right, good.
Most people don't, but you did good. I had a question about the escrow.
Okay.
Okay. So I haven't been here in the beginning, but anyway, it says in that SB 361 that another department would be handling the escrow. Did I hear that correctly?
So Secretary of State's office handles cemeteries, and
Okay.
the way it works with cemeteries is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Senator Williams, but when let's say you buy a plot for a family member, they have to take 15% of the money that was spent for that plot, and it goes into an escrow account. And then once all the plots are sold, that money, that 15%, is there accruing interest, and it is there to pay for the upkeep of the cemetery itself. And so, in my mind, I think that might be a good practice to do for our common areas.
Okay.
To make sure, because if you buy a property with a common area, that is a promise that was made to you, and when let's say a developer, once he's sold all the lots, he's washed his hands clean and he hands it over to the HOA. And so I think that's where a lot of our issues are. Some of our issues are that transfer from the developer to the HOA. And I think that is one of those things we could address that would would help assist with that transition.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked that first question, because I saw it said the Department of Banking and Finance.
So that one's a little bit different. That's on the dues, and again, that one's going to be a little bit more difficult on figuring that piece out. And I don't know that we're going to be able to figure that piece out because I've met with banking.
Providing for the escrow of funds for, you saying for the
Your
$100
dues. I'm saying,
registration?
so in my mind, HOA is local government.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And so your dues are your taxes.
Right. I sit on the board. I'm the
Okay.
president. So
Right.
I understand all that.
And
part.
so one of the issues we're having with the foreclosures is people could potentially lose their home over $2,000. Yet the HOAs need that, or people, there's no accountability to them to pay their dues. So I get it. So there's a balance we got to find there. To me, if we could take it off the table and say, look, the banks are collecting, they're collecting your taxes and paying your property taxes for you. Why couldn't they do the same thing with your HOA dues? And then you pay, as the homeowner, you would pay all that at once. You'd pay your mortgage, your taxes, and your dues. If you have PMI, you're paying that. You're doing all that at once every month. And then if you got behind on that and the bank wanted to foreclose, then that's there. But that's you getting behind on your mortgage, not getting behind on your dues and losing your house.
So this common area that you're referring to, that's all of the common area, or are we looking at particular high-end areas such as like the dam area, the
Well,
detention
I
ponds,
think it's going to depend. Again,
Because
I don't know
Nancy-
that we're going to get into all that in the law, but and again, these are just kind of thoughts in my head on paper of issues I've had. But if me as a homeowner, if I go into an HOA neighborhood and they've promised me a basketball court, they've promised me a lake, they've promised me a tennis court, all these things that help with the value of my property, and they're used to attract me there, and then I live there 2, 3, 4, 5, even 10 years, and all of a sudden you take that away, then to me, that's a breach of the contract that I had when I came in.
right.
And so if we could take that off the table and say, look, okay, you promised me you were going to do this, and this ensures that you are going to do this if we did it similar, just like buying
So
a
you're
lot on
saying that they promised to put these items in, but they didn't put them in, or they were put in and then people were disallowed from using them? I'm just want to be clear. Are you saying that when they built the place, the developer said, put in a tennis court and a pool or whatever, and then when it came down to it, they didn't actually put the pool in or the tennis court? Or are you saying that it was put in there?
I don't know. I mean, I think
I think
all those situations have probably come up at some point.
Variations, okay. So the money that goes into the escrow would be ones that's paid to the Secretary of State, and that has to be
Not necessarily paid to the Secretary of State. It's going to go into an account.
into an account.
And I don't know,
via
again.
them or what, some State Department, basically, right?
Right.
Okay. And so that money, once it goes in,
And I don't even know if we're going to be able to do it for existing. That part we may only be able to do that
For something
for
new.
new buildings and new neighborhoods. I don't know. We're going to have to dig into all
because
that.
that what we call it, okay.
And that's kind of the purpose of these hearings. And then when we come back in January, this bill will go through the process just like any other bill. So this is, all the meetings that Senator James had, all the meetings I did last year. Again, these have been accruing the information, and then it'll go through the process, and that's where we kind of work through the details.
Okay. My other question in reference to concerns that some of the homeowners have with not being able to take care of certain things, or the board's doing what they want to do. is it because it's not in their CCNRs and regulations, or is it because they are not complying with the CCNRs?
You'd have to talk with the homeowners.
Okay.
No,
And
I
so
don't. I don't live in a HOA, so I don't have any.
The reason I ask that
Complaints.
question is because is there a way to set requirements as to what has to be put in the CCNR and rules and regulations to protect the homeowners, because some of them don't have certain specific information in there? And if it's not in there, if it's not in there and say existing now, and it goes to the implementation of going through the Secretary of State for the administrative hearing, then how would the Secretary of State be able to support that homeowner if it's not actually in their CCNRs?
That's a good point. Something we can
So-
look at. I don't know if I don't know if we could do that in there.
If they have
Again,
to
this bill is
register-
going to lay out kind of a foundation for us to work off for years to come.
Because
So,
if we have to register, we have to provide all those documents to you.
mhm.
And if there's no guidelines as to what should be in them so that they can support the administrative hearing, then what's the purpose?
Right.
So anyway,
Fair
that's
enough.
all. Bye.
Yeah, sure, Senator James.
The, most of the ones in South Fulton went to a training that the boot camp gives. You know, they have and Douglas County has, I represent that area too, they have a boot camp. And we were trying to address that because it's no training, it's no way to write your covenant and your contract that you have to sign to be a member. So we wanted to look at a standard and do it that way, but that doesn't mean that homeowners association or the PPOA a lot of them are changing to that, and they don't address all that. So we were trying to get a standard type.
Is it the state of California? One of the states already has standards set up for their.
It's 9 states that
already have them set
have
up.
a set way to do it, but that doesn't mean that they can't change it for their particular homeowners association.
So if you're setting up, creating laws now, couldn't that be a part of that?
It could be.
So, okay.
All right, thank you.
And we are looking at all that. It was
Yep.
addressed in some that died.
Okay.
Okay, all right, now, so I've gone through everybody that signed up. If you want to speak and you did not sign up, we'll just form a line at the podium and y'all can go. Giving everybody a voice. You absolutely can.
I have an association, Walden Park, that is in my district out in South Fulton. And they automatically just changed to a property, a POA.
POA, correct.
And but they didn't, the homeowners didn't want it. They had nothing to do with it. And the association just changed it on their own. So they're trying to stop it. Is that, I'm not a lawyer, so I did look at their, the copy of what they have to sign. And it didn't even address the POAs. So I thought that it has to be in the contract in order for them to just do it without getting the homeowners so much percent of the homeowners, majority or 2/3 or whatever. But they didn't do it, so they wanted to address that for them today. I don't think Veronica Mount came, but that's who asked me again this morning. I got along. I'll
Right.
share it with everybody.
Okay, we'll
Thank you.
talk offline
Okay,
on that.
thank you.
All right,
Thank
for sake of time, I'm gonna get rolling here. All right, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Ramika White. I am the president of Rock Creek HOA. We're located in Clayton County. The question that I have for you all is related to the recommendation. With the call out for the escrow, I did not hear anyone mention a reserve study. And is it possible that we bring in the reserve study to compare with that perpetual care fund? As the reserve study tells me as a president, the life of my remaining assets and when I need to repair. For example, if you have a pool you know it needs to be maintained. And that reserve study can give you up to 40 years of a call out. With that, we also have to take parts of our operating budget in place in our savings account so that we can do these repairs. So perhaps there's an opportunity. The second portion is, as a president, I'm a volunteer. I give wakeless hours doing various works because I'm trying to be a good actor. Our board are trying to be good actors. Is it possible to offer with this bill maybe a 30-minute certification, something similar to what the state requires for the notaries? Everything is on demand, not trying to put additional burden on the taxpayers, but as a volunteer, it's scary. I don't know what I'm getting into until I'm there, and then it's, oh my gosh, I'm looking at my property management company to help me. But if they're not a good property management company, I definitely could go down the path and not know. So the final call out is for your HOA board. My biggest concerns is what the landmark mentioned. When people are in cahoots with each other, you can have a board member as a representative, and you can have homeowners that's not a board member, and they're in team together. So if we could just make sure the qualifications for the two talks to that conflict. Thank you very much.
Okay, good points. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sonia Lynch, and I live at the Tributary at New Manchester in Douglasville, Georgia. It's supposed to be a master plan community. And I'm going to tell you now, I have never spoken in front of a panel like this. I just heard about it this morning. However, our HOA board has absolutely no experience. There's no transparency. And let me tell you my story. Let me calm down.
Take a minute. Deep breath.
I found my husband after 44 years. Okay, we were high school sweethearts. We got married and we retired, moved to the Tributary, New Manchester. Coming into it, we had a contingency letter stating that they would replace the windows in my house. They did not. When they did not replace the windows, we had a storm. The storm totally took my house out from the second floor to the first floor, from the front of my townhome to the back. That was 7 years ago. When that storm hit, I misplaced that contingency letter. This HOA operations manager, president of the HOA, they said until I find it, they didn't have to do anything. And let me tell you something. When I did find it 5 years later and I gave it to them, what they did is they came and replaced the windows. Never mind about the mold that I live with. My husband had cancer, okay? We are disabled seniors, okay? My house is worth $0 right now. My husband sleeps with a CPAP. We have never taken advantage of sleeping in our master bedroom because there's mold in my house. We had to go, after 2 years of living here, take the equity out of our home to make it habitable, so we could live there, and it's still not habitable. They are not transparent. We are 850 homes. Out of those 850 homes, there are 20 townhomes. They were supposed to build 130 townhomes. They did not. They told us moving in, like you mentioned, people suckering you in, oh yeah, we got a pool, we got trails, we got this, we're going to do that. They told us we're going to build an additional 100 townhomes. They did not. They broke up our infrastructure. So the 20 townhome people that we have there, including myself, we carry the burden, the financial burden of paying for that area. What they did is they built 100 new single homes that are sitting on townhome plots. They never changed the description. Those people don't pay a monthly assessment. We do. So we pay $240 a month for maintenance, which we never get, $260 a month for HOA fees. Those people that live in those houses that are occupying those lots, they pay $0. Right now, today, they told me, they said, you know what, we're going to give you $23,000. You take it, Miss Senior Citizen Lady that has no construction experience at all. Take that money and fix your house. But, however, our clause says that if I fix something that they are responsible to fix, they no longer have to, it's not on their list of responsibility anymore. So why would I do that? especially now with all these tariffs and things. They could give me $23,000 and maybe it's gonna cost me $63,000. Where do I get that money from? Let me tell you something. This is the state of Georgia, and what I've learned is Georgia is a small state, but Georgia is a large state. There's a panel sitting up here. I hope today you guys are not sitting here just to be entertained, okay? And that you're gonna do something about this, because all I'm hearing is these HOA boards are full of people that don't know what the hell they're doing, and they're just ruining people's lives, including mine. Okay? I don't care what attorney you call, they want to tell you, oh, well, you know what? If you sue them, you're suing yourself. Well, you know what? You have the ability to change that. When these people don't do what they're supposed to do, they need to be fined, they need to be locked up, and they need to be put out of a community. This is not right. You said you don't live in an HOA community, and that's good. Because if these people here, including myself, we go so far is to invest in moving into a HOA community, is because we want to live decently. But when we get in there and we are mistreated and being had to live the way we are, this is wrong. And you guys need to do something about it, more so than have the meeting. So I'm going to be I got up this morning, I didn't even know my way down here, okay? But I found it, and I'm here, and I'm talking. And I want somebody that's going to listen. I am so sick and tired of looking at the media saying, oh, yeah, today in the news, this HOA community did these people wrong. Okay, next story, because there is no penalty for what they do, and they're wrong. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Ashley Drayton. I'm a part of the Worthington Oaks HOA in Cobb County. I want to address two particular OCGA codes, 14-510, 14-2-510, and 9-10-93. They address venue. So one of the issues that we have in HOAs is that the HOA resides in a particular community, right? Whether it be in Cobb County, Fulton County, et cetera. But their management company resides in Valdosta. It resides in Cook County, somewhere else. So what they're doing when it comes to lawsuits, they're trying to proclaim a specific venue, because yes, we do have contractual agreements, right, with our bylaws, with the covenants, et cetera. However, their registered address corporation is in a different county, which could be 2 hours, 3 hours out. So their fight on their attorney's side, even though over 100 members of the HOA resides in Cobb County, resides in Fulton County, their management company, who they're using the address for, resides way out 3-4 hours outside of where we all live. So they expect us in the middle of a lawsuit to be going out 3-4 hours out. That can deter homeowners from being present from those lawsuits, number one, and can provide as a circumstance where they're trying to deflect responsibility and drag out and prolong a lawsuit because they're not having their management company representation or their address that they're using reside in the same county, within a certain mile radius, which I think that you all can implement, that if they're going to hire, the board is going to hire a management company, they need to at least reside in that county or within a certain mile radius of the county where the HOA, that they're representing. So that's the first things first. And I would like to see that be implemented, and I hope you all would agree with that. The second part is minutes. Minutes for the HOA meeting. Even though it may be a public meeting, the board also has, quote unquote, their meetings that they invite members to, which are open meetings, but they may not be able to discuss things that are happening because they aren't on the board, et cetera. However, minutes are not required to be shared to the public unless they, and I say the public, the members, unless they request them. So if the members are not requesting them, then they can say that, oh, we just have the minutes, they're located so-and-so else, However, we would like to see that you all implement a rule that these minutes are either uploaded publicly, regardless if they're asked for or not by the members, that they need to be either on the website, either on the Secretary of State, just like how when you all have this meeting, you upload your minutes, whether the public asks for them or not. They're public information. I think that for nonprofits, they should be the same way. Also, for the many nonprofits, the HOAs that we have, you all have the authority to to implement a court-appointed receiver. At what point are court-appointed receivers being acknowledged in these HOAs? Because what it sounds like is that many of these cases have gone on for months, for years at a time, and there has not been a court-appointed receiver. And that, at the same time, needs to happen long before many homeowners have exhausted thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to be heard, to be seen, to be felt. So I think that the same protocol that you all apply to nonprofits for the charity standpoint, public charities, it needs to also apply for private HOAs, that court-appointed receivers need to also be implemented sooner rather than later. I think that was it. Let me double check my notes. Yeah, and I also just want to say I thank you all so much for today. So thank you.
Thank
Kudos.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Justin Mattice. I live in a subdivision called Heritage Place in Austell, Georgia. It's run by a board called Heritage Place Civic Association. I bring it up also to ask if anybody here as the senator would help me out on trying to deal with them. My story begins, I took, what's that? Oh, sorry. Well, all right, I look forward to speaking with you about that. It took me a long time to be able to save up to buy a home, and I purchased a home in Austell there, in a single-family home. When I moved in, I was not given the HOA covenants, didn't know anything I was signing up for, but I still, with every demand, tried to comply with them, pay my dues on time. My situation started when there are a couple homes that are above me on this hill, and then there are a couple homes below me in the same neighborhood. My neighbor decided she didn't like the stormwater flowing behind the back of her home, so she filled in the swale with dirt, a lot of cubic feet of dirt, and built a retaining wall that, by all standards from the county, city engineers that have come out there, they've said it's built incorrectly, and what it does is dam up the water on and under my property. So I went to the HOA to go ask them, would they, and being a good neighbor, because I don't think the lady necessarily meant to destroy my property, but it is having that effect, creating sinkholes that threaten my home's foundation. So I talked to the HOA to see if they would go to the city of Austell to ask them if they would put a drain at the top of that hill where it would catch the stormwater. They didn't. They delayed on ever responding to me, and finally they said, we've called code enforcement on you, and you go figure out how to fix it with the city of Austell. I had an engineering company come in. We put in a drain that works fine when we get normal amounts of stormwater. That was about $25,000 worth of funds. Going on the HOA's radar, then they seem to think they can soak me for even more money. Because at this time, then they say, well, now we want you to put sod in an area where sod never is underneath trees where it's not going to grow. They tell me, you have to plant this type of tree right here. I do that. I get a violation. They say, you'd have to move the tree now. You can't do that. It's a psychological torture game with these people. So imagine you're in my situation. I work for the state of Georgia. I actually worked for the Department of Banking and Finance, and I think that's something that they have the capability of doing. And I worked as an examiner there and going through, and they could examine these HOAs. You could empower them to do that. Nobody has oversight over these people. I've gone to so many different levels of government. The city of Austell refuses to put a storm drain in there, and they say, well, it's up to you and the HOA to figure out. So at this point, because they've also demanded, because water comes down this hill, I give my neighbor $3,000 for her. I've spent about $15,000 in legal fees that have brought absolutely no resolution to this, because they say I owe them daily fines that I don't even know what they are, because they blocked my access to that online portal to be able to see any documents and that. I paid my dues, but they've still blocked it. I can't go to the common areas. I don't even care about the common areas because I don't even want to go there anymore. Now I'm just trying to flee this subdivision, and they are making that impossible because they won't allow me to build a deck on my property. It's a split-level home, a modest home, and so it's a safety issue that nobody can get loans for. Nobody wants the home like that. On top of that, then, so that's my personal issue, and it's still ongoing. So now they've sent me another letter threatening me that I need to pay to fix all these stormwater issues up and down the street, basically. And I'm out of money. I work for the state. You know that our budget and appropriation, it didn't come with raises, but these guys too, so where you guys say $2,000, well, they've kept floating the idea, really, we need to be charging $800 a year in this subdivision. But they go through and they pass amendments without anybody's oversight, and they say that we can go do triple assessments throughout the year. So right there, they're prepping us for that $2,400. So for me, what we did then is that there's about 30 or 40 homes in this subdivision out of 156 that they've gone and put liens on. Now, I've compared it to other neighboring HOA subdivisions and other really nice ones, and they cost like $40,000 to $50,000 to operate, and they have a legitimate property management company. This one, what they even admit with this hokey budget statement that they provide is $150,000, but they've put $10,000 to $30,000 liens on 40 homes, so they could be $1 million operation right there. And it's put on the homeowner to keep going to court to try to fight them, but they won't even go to court with us. So we're filing things. The sheriff can't find them to serve them a summons to come to court. We also talked to a lot of different homeowners. We gathered up a petition under the Georgia Nonprofit Code of 25% of the people sign up. We're calling for a new election. They ignored it. In fact, what they did is what somebody else also mentioned, they sent me a threatening letter stating, you've libeled us. And now you have to go around to the neighborhood, go apologize, say you're a liar, all these kind of things. But you know how they also went around and rebutted us is by going into the mailboxes in the middle of the night, tampering with the mail, and putting in an envelope. We've spent endless resources. I mean, just the mailing was a few $100s, but that's nothing compared to like the $40,000 I've already spent, where I think I'm moving into a forever home building equity, and it's been an absolute nightmare. So with... I know that you all are trying to come up with solutions. I mean, this is my story, and I'd like to speak to somebody because it just goes in circles, and everybody says, well, it's not our job, it's not our job. But Georgia has basically legalized these mobs, and why not just ban them then in that way? And if people want to opt in optionally to something with certain standards, pay in and say, I want to pay to come to a pool or that, because a lot of us, we pay the money for it, they block us from it. They are using our own funds as well. So like for us, they just said, we're a property owners association now. Now they've said that there's such a quorum that like it can never be met. In fact, that's another thing. We don't have proper elections. So I went to the board meeting to try to serve on the board. They don't give us proper time of it, but we still had enough people there. I said, I want to serve on the board. I want to see what's going on. I'm an auditor. I want to know. I want to be part of this now, have my voice here. They said, you're not. They said, nobody signed up for it to everybody. I said, I signed up for the election. They said, well, you're the only one. So I said, well, I'm here. Let's have the election. And they said, no, we're not doing it. So you can have people come down here and register with the Secretary of State, which they do, but you need to have something in there with some teeth of like vetting that those votes happened, and not just some random people coming down here because they don't have elections. So I could just come down here and say, you know what, I'm the HOA board. That's what they're doing. They're using our money against us. They're just basically racking up huge fees on me, and then I'm paying their lawyer that they never had to get also, because the only reason they did is because they refused to hear my appeals, wanting to meet, anything like that. So when I got an attorney, they got an attorney, and I'm being billed double in that way. Why not cap fines too? The amount of money that they're saying, like $30,000, nobody's caused anybody $30,000 worth of damage in this subdivision filled with $300,000 homes. It's just a cash grab. Maybe just removing that way that they can foreclose on people's property. There's a couple people. One lady, because she doesn't have a patch of grass this large, which she's long fixed, they want to foreclose on her because they said, you had the daily fines, same thing with me too, and now they've gone over that amount, and now we want to take your home without even having to pay you any money, not even go for an auction. So, or maybe people could just opt out of the HOA, some kind of rules on like standards of communications, because they would do things like call me, text me, email me. Then when you respond, they say, don't contact me through this way, or they don't pick up the phone. You can't even find the HOA property management company.
All right, we're running out of time. But, sorry, we got three more. Nikki, I'm gonna save you. You've already gone. So we only have this room until 12 o'clock, and I've got more people that would like to speak. So I'm just giving you a heads up so you don't stand there and get angry with me later. All right, go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Amy McCoy, and I'm a local real estate broker, but also a housing advocate, and a fair housing advocate specifically. I've chaired national committees and oversaw federal financing, so I've witnessed the challenges faced on behalf of residents across Georgia and who want fairness, transparency, and accountability within housing. Earlier this year, previous years I've testified before in this matter, but earlier this year I made a campaign and sent various emails over HOA, so I hope that you were able to receive those. But I've seen the damage firsthand. And I'll actually even speak to my neighbor here. But after being hired to represent homeowners who were forced to pursue legal representation to fight an outrageous $84,000 bill for less than 2 years of ownership in a townhome. After being threatened by the POA, specifically myself, saying that if I pursued on their behalf, that they would sue me personally. So I called their bluff and paid the $5,000 for the attorney. And after months of wrangling, that bill was then reduced just to the $600 water bill on behalf of a vacant property. This was discovered it was also discovered that POA was double charging monthly dues without even updating their legal documents. I personally received more than $1,200 in charges with my HOA for simply apparently failing to turn in a form that had my name, my email, and my telephone number. But that same HOA used these same methods in order to communicate with me that these fines were going to happen. It took them a month to finally notify me, but it took them an additional month to finally respond in removing those, only to have them show back up on my account the following month. I pay $3,120 annually. But yet my HOA, if I'm $300 behind, they will disconnect my cable, they will disconnect my internet, and majority of my neighborhood works from home. But yet I will still be responsible for paying those fees, even with them being disconnected. So I don't believe that the $4,000 will stretch enough. But I have another resident that incurred more than $40,000 in their damages to their property. And with our HOA, not only are we paying an HOA management company, but since the community was turned over to the HOA homeowners, we still have to pay for the engineer that oversees it. So we're essentially paying not only him, but we're also having to pay the actual HOA management company. So again, there's not basis for it because the HOA says they can't fire him, and essentially he's just there to collect a check, whether he does work or not. Beyond individual cases, I have witnessed presidents of association manipulate their systems, delay repairing, and driving down property values so that they can purchase homes at cheaper prices when they get foreclosed on the foreclosure steps, especially when many property owners do not live locally, even before COVID. I personally flew to other countries like Israel on my own dime to get homeowners to pay their taxes, pay their HOA dues, because I saw the mismanagement taking advantage of minority communities. Meanwhile, HOAs and POAs raises dues with minimal notices, leaving buyers unable to purchase in those attached communities because of financial mismanagement or poor maintenance upkeep. These associations fail to provide updated financial records and proper insurance documents, effectively blocking access for federal financing and preventing stable investments for homeownership. I must also raise the issue that closing letters and initiation fees, what should be a simple $10 printing fee at closing, are often $250 to $600, on top of mandatory initiation fees, with little explanation of what those charges even cover. These costs are not only excessive, but they're opaque, further destabilizing markets and discouraging buyers from in those. So I want to thank you for taking on these issues. Like I said earlier this year, I reached out to get some HOA oversight because our state needs to take action. The burden then falls on municipalities and counties that are already stretched too thin. And these HOA, POAs, COAs, these companies operate beyond their borders. their local boundaries, and that's why it's necessary for us to finally do what's right. So I am so thankful that you are taking this on. And at the core of the package must ensure that real enforcement that put caps on these abuses and that protects homeowners who are tied to being treated like revenue streams instead of neighbors. So I want to thank you for the time. In addition, the communication that went out about this meeting.
Hey, ma'am,
does say,
we got to go.
no, I was going to say, this is the last part because your communication that went out says that the next meeting is on Wednesday, the 18th, but Wednesdays is the 17th. And so I had other people that,
I don't know what
that
you're
want to
talking
come for the next hearing that's happening.
Our next hearing is October 21st.
Okay.
All right, next.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Fred Lee, and I live in East Marietta and overlook condos. And thanks to these folks like this, a friend of mine was visiting and said they saw you talking about HOAs. For me personally, it's been a $57,000 battle by myself. So I moved in 8 years ago, and I've been fighting, paying attorney fees, et cetera. I didn't know this existed. I do know you're also talking to someone that has lived, I worked for GM for a long time, and I lived in Arizona under HOAs. I've lived in other states on HOAs. I've never seen anything like here and what I've experienced with the HOAs. They just kind of do what they want to do. It's like almost like a racketeering, you know, or whatever the new word is for racketeering, but they're basically working together with the attorney fees. I had $17,000 that I paid in attorney fees coming out the gate with them fighting. And what's really crazy, just after I begged them with letters, please send me auto pay, because I travel all over the world. I work for the Department of Defense now, and I travel all over the world. They finally sent me auto pays. So why are you still suing me at the same time? You collect the fees every month automatically, yet you still take me back to court and still adding assessments. So if this committee, I'll say a small thank you now, but you want a standing ovation, there needs to be something, and it's truly different in Georgia. And I'm not just saying that to bad mouth for Georgia, because this is a person that has lived all over the country, and I've lived under 5 HOAs, and this right here is ridiculous. Right now, I'm $57,000, and we're still back in court. So I've been going to court. All I've been doing is showing them that, hey, I've been paying every month, so what's the problem? You don't even want to negotiate. They never contacted me. I've been there 8 years. They called me one time about a lady who was the former president, she told me downstairs. I've never heard from them. All I've talked to was the attorneys. So every time I talk to the attorney, I'm spending $300, $400, $800. It's up to $57,000 is my bill that I've actually put. So I beg you to help the folks in this room, to help us as a community, because this is ridiculous, to get rid of these racketeers. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, you're it.
Thank you.
Bring it home.
Thank you. Okay, first I just want to say good morning, Chair, and it's still morning, 1 minute away from being afternoon. 11:59. Good morning, Chair and members of the subcommittee. My name is Danielle Reyes, and I'm a homeowner in unincorporated Marietta. I moved here last July from California, Southern California, with the inspiration and hope of being able to start a new chapter. I purchased a home by myself at the age of 39, 12 days before my 39th birthday, because my goal was to purchase it by 40, and I just turned 40 last couple months ago. And so I'm here today because I'm a homeowner in the Glen Meadow community in Marietta, Georgia. And I just want to say that, for example, our HOA president, Eric France, is publicly described in news reports as living in Linwood, Illinois, and he is currently campaigning to succeed Representative Robin Kelly in Illinois' 2nd Congressional District, a race already drawing attention as the 2026 contest heats up, according to Takuma Robach. If these facts are accurate, it raises a serious question of eligibility and accountability. How can someone who does not reside full-time in our neighborhood and who is actively engaged in an out-of-state congressional campaign effectively represent the homeowner's interest here? Georgia Title 14, which governs nonprofit corporations such as HOAs, underscores the duty of directors to act in good faith and in the best interest of the members they serve. That responsibility begins with a board that actually lives among and is directly affected by the community it governs. Management company oversight. My next point. Equally troubling is the performance of our management company. And I know I'm not alone because several people have contacted me on the app Nextdoor. You can find me there, Danielle Reyes. The management company that the association has contracted with is Tolly Community Management. Has anyone else had problems with Tolly Community Management? I have. If you too, please come and see me. Homeowners have faced delayed responses, inconsistent covenant enforcements, and inadequate financial transparency. These problems erode trust and place unnecessary burdens on residents. Need for a fair dispute process. My last point. Just as the State Bar of Georgia provides mandatory attorney fee arbitration to resolve billing disputes before costly litigation, homeowners should have access to a similar neutral agency for HOA conflicts. A state-mandated dispute resolution process required before any lien or other type of assessments can be placed on a home would protect property owners from unnecessary legal costs and help resolve disagreements quickly and fairly. So my request to the subcommittee is I respectfully urge the subcommittee to consider stronger statutory requirements for board member residency and active participation, transparent financial and records disclosure, and a mandatory state-sponsored dispute resolution mechanism prior to any HOA lien filings. Homeowners deserve governance that is local, accountable, and transparent. I thank you very much for your time and everyone being here today. Clearly, this is an issue, and I think that if we all come together and work to try to hold people accountable, we can make a difference where we can all live in peace. Isn't that the American dream, to have a house and to be able to live in peace? My peace has been disrupted. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next meeting, October 21st at 10 a.m. So we'll be in this room at 10 a.m., same time. And we will be hearing from the banking department and several others. So look forward to seeing y'all there, and meeting adjourned.